Hey traders, Raghee here. Welcome to Charts and Coffee. Hope everyone's doing great, or at least better than I am anyway. I feel a whole lot better than I sound, but all is good and glad for everyone to be here. Wrapping up yet another interesting week and taking a look at this early morning action. Let's take a look at the economic calendar to start off our conversation here real quick. What are we dealing with? What are we inheriting? What's the psychology? ForexFactory.com, Core PCE. Now, there's two things I know a lot of us have in our mind. One is Amazon, and two is that Core PCE. Core PCE is an inflation number. So of those different macroeconomic pillars that we know the Federal Reserve is watching, inflation being the main one, most of us think CPI. Not Powell and the Federal Reserve. Their pet inflation number is that PCE. So that thing coming in line is kind of an interesting look. Does that mean inflation's under control? Does that mean that they can reduce that hawkish track that they're on? Well, here's the thing. Let's not presume. Let's take a look at the reaction. And it was a lot of volatility at the initial release, but overall, just kind of holding steady and holding on to what has generally been on the daily time frame here. Fairly, at least we're up from the open, right? We're not above the previous session close. We might say Amazon had a lot to do with that, but Amazon, even Amazon's come off the lows. But we're going to see a little bit of a weight on that Amazon move to the downside. But that's what we're inheriting here this morning as we kick off the last trading day of this week. All right. So that's what's, I think, going to move at least the early psychology of the morning. And then after the clearing, after 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll see what kind of direction ultimately it seems the morning wants to take. And of course, the final say so on the day is, where do we close? And please remember that the NASDAQ has been the weakest of the three indices because mostly we've had a trying tech earnings season, but a pretty decent financials. So keep that in mind, that push-pull and which sectors are far more impactful on which indices, because it's not equal. It's not the same across the board. All right, so with that being said, let's jump into the questions. As always, free trading room, phone lines are open for your requests and our YouTube audience. All right, let's take a look at what we've got. Kicking it off with Alex, who day trading the S&P on the 5-minute. All right, let's jump on over there real quick. All right, day trading the S&P on the 5-minute. In this current high volatility environment, I often take profits too soon. Any advice to combat this? So, Alex, one of the things that I'll always recommend to members in the futures room, and of course in my Sector Secrets Mastery, and what I teach in my classes and what I share in the free videos is, how are we measuring volatility? Two elements to volatility. To your point, one, is it high or low? The VIX is one way to look at it, but there's probably far too much being made of the VIX right now. Just know that the VIX tends to travel in a pretty wide chop, and it gets overbought and oversold, and just back and forth we go. For the most part, that's what we see. And you can see that really clearly when you open up a year's worth of the VX futures, which is what I look at. After that, we can take a look at events on the economic calendar because a lot of volatility events are on the calendar. And then I'm going to rely on things like what's the underlying market trend and where are my hourly price movement ranges. So combating it is just knowing the overall environment, the economic events that are going to be affecting psychology that session. And then how do you measure it? And Alex, that's what I do. Rinse and repeat. Okay. So thanks for the question. All right, Tim, good morning. Day trading ES, but buying calls and puts on the SPY. That is a very popular thing amongst many of the members in the Sector Secrets Mastery because some are just getting started in futures, heavily leveraged product. Micros help manage that volatility, but calls and puts on SPY, SPX are very popular alternatives. All right, do I switch to the next expiration in the afternoon on a 0 days to expiration? It's really interesting, and I don't want to get up to our eyeballs in Greeks, but zero DTE is actually about gamma, right? And I know it kind of makes you nauseous or dizzy at first because gamma gets thrown around as this new popular kid in class, but it's really a gamma play. And maybe one of these days in our weekly Raghee report, I'll dive a little bit more into that. But bottom line, the way that I counter theta decay is number one, don't buy out of the money, right? That's already going to put you way out in terms of that delta. As time decay is eroding the value of your, all options are depreciating assets, right? So, first of all, I usually when I'm day trading, Tim, if I'm even going to end up with a trade that gets past 11:30, sort of my pencils down time for day trading, I should already be a little bit ahead on the value. In other words, I bought the out of the money option, 0 days to expiration, but I should be at my first target or beyond, at least at a break even. So if I'm going to take something into the latter half of the day, I should already be ahead on that trade because you're right. That zero DTE effect is going to hit. Another part of that, which I think a lot of SPX traders like to take advantage of, and we can use the hourly price movement ranges there, is because it's a European style expiration option. The zero DTE gamma effect is a little bit different, but that's why a lot of traders will prefer to be options sellers. Sellers a premium on that zero DTE, but I'll still go with a directional debit, but I'll be conscious of how far into the day do I want to take that trade. All right, thanks for the question. All right, next up, Prince asks, I'm struggling with a V-score setup. I get stopped out, and shortly after it goes in the right direction, it seems either my stop loss is too tight or I get in too early. How do I fix this? Well, remember, V-score is one element of an overall process or pattern, right? I never want to follow one indicator blindly. In fact, one of the things that I teach in my classes, teach in our sector sequence mastery, in the futures room, wherever the heck I am, right? I'll be in the options room on Wednesdays, by the way, at 2 p.m. Eastern between now and I believe sometime in February. So you can catch me there as well. And one indicator, one why is never enough. I need to stack multiple reasons, right? So if someone were to look at the what used to be called the VWAP Max, now called the Volume Max toolkit, we've got the value area high, value area low, point of control. We've got the volume profile, and we have the anchored VWAP. And everything is designed to, number one, focus on the first step of the process, which is, do I have some sort of volume support or resistance? Then we're going to look at the underlying market structure that volume support or resistance is happening in. And then finally, we'll have a pattern. That's the one setup. It's three pieces, right? I mean, even a sandwich usually has 2 or 3 ingredients, right? So what are the 3 ingredients that are going to make up that sandwich, that setup? Yeah, am I calling a setup a sandwich? Yeah, I am. I didn't have a big dinner last night. I think I'm hungry this morning. I could go for a sandwich. But we want to think about the sandwich approach to the setup. And then in terms of the entry, I think as long as you're not fighting the trend and you're paying attention to those support and resistance levels with the pattern, that should tighten that up. Okay. And again, if you have specific setups, gang, specific questions about my setups or sandwiches, feel free to hit me up when I'm in the futures room or the options room or the sector secrets mastery, and I can get into a whole lot more detail. And of course, you guys can also get my alerts while you're in there. All right. Next up is playing patty cake. Alex says, well, remember what's so cool about and for those of you wondering, okay, Rog, what is that? What does that mean, playing patty cake? Well, if you notice right in here, that is the HPMR resistance and the HPMR support. See how they kind of got really close together? That's because of the heightened volatility of the 830 hot zone, right? It's not as if it's a surprise. It's not a secret that we have PCE coming out. So we're not going to be surprised to see heightened volatility. That's where, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, the economic calendar and the volatility are so closely related, right? Okay, next up. All right, question coming from the trading room, free trading room. Abby asks, when the minimum wage finally goes up Doesn't that mean inflation can't calm down to pre-war levels? So goods would have to normalize at a higher price. If that means they want, if so, that means they want prices to come down. Companies will need to increase supply. Thoughts? Abby, that's a lot that we could talk about, say, one night over dinner, right? Or we talk about amongst friends. I'll be straight up. Abby, very, very well thought out question. But a lot of times, and I want to make sure I say this really carefully, a lot of times the questions that we have are one of two things. One, they're questions that really the market isn't asking. I think the market is asking your question though, Abby. But two, my question is always, what's the trade then? And then after that, to what's the time horizon? That would be a very long time horizon question, right? And I'm here to talk about what is going to impact us near term, the next few days, the next few weeks, maybe the next few hours in terms of an actual trade, right? So I really don't know the answer to that question because frankly, I'm not asking because for the longer term time horizon, I can't possibly even know whether that's true or not. I can't possibly know whether companies are going to have to do anything. So the bottom line is there's no way to really answer that question. Now, if you watch television, they're asking and answering questions like that all day long. But none of them are actually, giving us an idea of where they're entering and where they're exiting, are they? So I think our job as traders is very different. So I love the question. That'd be a cool thing to talk about, as a market's winding down or a Sunday Raghee report, but it's just not going to lead me to a trade, right? And that's the only way that I know to address that in a way that is frankly as straight up as I can be. As far as if that doesn't land me in a trade, then answering that question, even if I thought I knew, might cost me money, might cost you money. So while that's a cool question for a cup of coffee, I got to let those thoughts kind of go because they're just not going to get me to where I need to go. But I love the question, Abby. And I think those are the kind of questions that a lot of us have, but they're not necessarily going to get us to a trade. But very impressive question. I mean, that made my brain cramp for a minute. I love it. I love it. And I'll definitely think about that, Abby. If I can give you a better answer, I will. I will. All right. Next up, Chris asks, with your new indicators, are you moving away from exhaustion and more into momentum? Oh, gosh, no, Chris. Chris, thank you for the question. Number one, any indicator that I use is, think of it this way, Chris, and I'm assuming you have Grab, Wave, Darvis, Propulsion. Those are four indicators that make up what's known as the TOPS layout that I have always made freely available, most of which since I started writing books in 2007. And definitely when I joined Simpler, we made that suite of tools available for free. So we have a number of free tools available, and those are four of them. That's the engine block, okay? So now you've got this great aluminum engine block, machined perfectly. Now, how do we make it better? Are we going to supercharge it, turbocharge it, bore and stroke it? What are we going to do, right? I can put a volume-based tool, which is what I'm teaching right now for the upcoming class on November 5. The second webinar is going to happen on November 2, 8 p.m. If you've been curious about the day trading aspect of what's going on, you're going to love that. Gang, day traders are so often maligned and they're made fun of. I mean, we're practically memes, right? I'm not just a day trader. It's just a gear that I know to shift into. And we just oftentimes get sort of mocked and pushed to the back of the room when in fact, right now, we are the cool kids in class. We are not sitting in the back of the room right now. It is working really, really well because when things are uncertain, we lack follow through. And if we can shorten our time frame and shorten our time horizon and then supercharge that engine block with the volume understanding, it just works really well. And I don't say this because what I did this week in any way it's going to map to what I do next week. But since summer, and it's not just me saying this, it's many of our members, we're at about a 70+% win rate on day trades. And this week alone, Monday, we had, I think, 2 trades. Tuesday, I had 0. Wednesday, I think we had 4. And yesterday, Thursday, we had 4. We haven't had a loser this week. We're very discerning. We're going through that process that I teach of volume, market trend, pattern. using hourly price movement ranges as well. So the idea is we want to use all of it. So while I have a momentum tool now that we can now also supercharge, the engine block is still the same. The process is still the same. It's just one more tool now that I can use to say, hey, gang, we exhausted. It's the right underlying market trend. Here's the pattern, and here's the market hitting the gas pedal. And a lot of people do like that. And they want the confirmation of, hey, now surf's up, right? I hope that makes sense. It's never going to be, Chris, it's never going to be a situation where I abandon old tools. Most of you will see tools that I talked about and taught back in, say, 1998, 1999. The wave was on my charts, right? Moving average crosses and things like that were on my charts. So I'm pretty boringly consistent because if nothing else, I've just stuck with what works. And I appreciate the question. Not at all, Chris. We're adding just more to that engine. We're just adding more to I guess we're adding some top end maybe, right? All right. Next up, editor asks, do I have any day trading class and mastery sessions? Do I have a day trading class and mastery sessions? Editor, yeah, of course. Yeah, we've done a day trading class, and thank you for the question. We've had a day trading class every year, 19, 20, 21, 22. So this will be the fourth year or third year we've done a day trading class right before summer because it just works so well. And then in this coming class, I'm going to be showing you how I both position trade, think weekly time frame, your portfolio, day trade, think, say, swing trading. Daily time frame trade, so swing trading, and then finally day trading, think 5 minutes. So how do I trade the weekly for my portfolio, the daily time frame for my swing trades, and the 5 minute for my day trading? So the upcoming class has 2 swing trading sessions, 2 day trading sessions, and we actually have a bonus of the longer term portfolio. And I got to tell you, gang, a lot of our mastery members are in these trades already, all 4 of which are up in an environment where we're told the market's circling the drain, right? We have a position in XLK. We have a position in XLB. We have a position in XLP. What am I missing? I've been a little fuzzy since I've been sick, but I am feeling a lot better. Gosh, yeah, we have a lot of great positions there in terms of that longer term too. Yeah, so thank you for the question. And I day trade every morning in the mastery. So XLP, okay. And I day trade every morning in the mastery between 9:30 and 10:35. The webinar on Wednesday, November 2, the bulk of the day trades that I'll be showing you were all done in a trading window of 1 hour and 5 minutes. But the bulk of them were done in a 1 hour and 5 minute window. That's what's been working really well. And that's the time that we day trade in the mastery. So thank you for the question. All right, Mr. Walker asks, on the multi-charts, TSM is approaching COVID lows. Mr. Walker, it's been in a downtrend, right? Is this the type of setup I look for long term? No, my friend. So really great question. See how we're below the 200 and we're in a downtrend? No, I think it's really interesting when we talk about trends. There's a lot of assumption that the S&P is in a downtrend. Gang, it's not. It's not. It's not even established below the weekly 200, right? So this is the kind of place that I would look, Mr. Walker, right? I think a lot of people say, well, Rog, how can the S&P not be in a downtrend? If we're talking about the weekly, it's not. And I think a lot of traders are presuming much lower lows on an incorrect, or I guess opinions vary, right? But on an opinion that the weekly is in a downtrend. TSM is in a downtrend on the weekly, and I will not step out in front of the freight train there. All right. Next up is, hang on, gang. Yeah, thank you, Alex. Smash that like button. I do appreciate it, gang. We appreciate the boring consistency. World's most boring day trader. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I like the boring consistency. If nothing else, it's the easiest thing to remember. It's time tested. I remember going to one of those New York trading expos many moons ago. I don't do them really anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I just don't do them anymore. And this might be part of why I don't do them anymore. Someone well-meaning, I appreciate it, came up to me and said, Hey, I saw you speak in Vegas, or maybe it was wherever it was, or maybe the year before. Say, I saw you speak before. Are you going to talk about the same thing again? Because this person was trying to figure out whether or not they should attend my talk. And I said, do you mean I'm going to talk about, and this was probably about 7 or 10 years ago. I said, do you mean I'm going to talk about the things that have been working for me in multiple markets for 2 decades now at the time? I mean, why would I bring up something new just to be new and shiny? And no, I'm going to talk about the same boring things that have always worked, right? There's nothing else. It's the easiest thing to remember. All right. As far as the trade alerts go on the weekly, yeah, check out the alerts. Bot said we've got KP B, and I think we have one other one. So if you check out the alerts, yeah, we send out and you'll see it says weekly, and then I'll give you all a price. And those are the underlying stocks that we're buying on that weekly, right? Those are the underlying stocks. So thank you as always. Yeah, definitely check it out. If you don't see it in the room, in the mastery room, nudge Lorna Bot or I, and we'll make sure we'll copy and paste it and push it through the chat. Definitely don't want you to miss that. And or tell you what, the Simpler Trading mobile app is an amazing, amazing thing. So Dark Pool Algo, my pleasure as always, gang. Thanks so much for your time. I'll see you on Sunday for the weekly Raghee report. And actually, we did this a couple of Fridays ago. We did a quick end of Friday live session, just sort of wrap up the week, because the question that I'm getting a lot of right now is breakout or breakdown, and how does volume fit in? We'll have a quick 15-minute get together, 4 p.m. right here at the Simpler Trading YouTube channel. Catch it live, catch it on replay, but I will see you then. All right. So today at 4 o'clock, quick breakout or breakdown. How do we follow the leader? What is the leader right now? So I think a lot of you will find that definitely giving you some good equilibrium. All right, gang. I will see you then. Be good to each other. Thanks as always for caffeinating and dominating with the crew. Be good to each other.